In any given year, 1 in 5 Canadians experiences a mental illness. By the time Canadians reach 40 years of age, 1 in 2 have or have had a mental illness. The pandemic has only increased the challenges people face with mental health. There are services and programs available if you or someone you're close to is struggling. And we have the Mood Disorders Association of Manitoba to talk to us about that.
Thank you, first of all, for the invitation. I'm delighted to be here. I'm Rita Chahall. I'm the Executive Director of Mood Disorders Association of Manitoba. Mood Disorders is a charitable organization, been around for about 40 plus years, very grassroots. Really, we focus on mood disorders and various other co-occurring mental health issues. And at the end of the day, we are a peer support organization, which really focuses on helping people help themselves. So we are not involved in clinical intervention. However, we are part of that clinical and medical supports that people who might be suffering from mental illness or other mental health issues. We are part of the support system. So, as an example, I see things in threes. So when somebody is diagnosed with a mental illness, they have their primary healthcare provider looking after them, with medications, the therapy, all of those aspects. Then there's the family support that one needs very directly to continue that treatment or support along the way. And then there's the third aspect, which is community and your employers and your other networks. So we are part of that additional support system to help guide people, often after release from a hospital or after an incident or a traumatic event or having new diagnosis, those kinds of things. So we're very much a peer support. I would say that I think we're well suited for that type of support because a majority of our staff, as well as our board members, have either lived or shared experience. So they've dealt with mood or mental health illness or mood disorder on their own or on a family member or a friend or somebody in their life might have had that. So that experience and gives us that additional ability to provide peer support to somebody who needs it or asks for it.
Having these supports is so important. And I think for
Absolutely.
many people going through this 2-year-long pandemic and people
Absolutely.
are learning about the struggles of mental health, people who have never had challenges or were not aware of challenges, are now like myself. I never suffered from depression before, but this whole pandemic has really brought to light the importance of support and having these conversations around mental health. So that kind of leads into my next question about, why is it important to have a mental health awareness week here in Canada?
All of the things that you've just mentioned are absolutely true. That's what's happened particularly in the last couple of years. I think it puts some attention on a topic that has, or an issue that has often been stigmatized. Many people weren't even aware, myself included, that there was actually a mental health week. Much more aware of it now. Now that I'm in the sector. But I think it's not something that you just dedicate a week to and then forget about it. Often there are, so many other issues that we all have dedicated a month for or a day for or a week for. But these are ongoing issues in our lives. I believe that mental health and your mental well-being is as equally, if not more, important than your physical health. So let's look at the last couple of years. We focused very much at the beginning of COVID on our physical well-being. We started to, talk about, to protect yourself, the masking, the physical distancing, all of those elements. But we slowly realized the impact that this was having on our emotional well-being. When we were isolated, you couldn't go out anywhere, you couldn't talk to people, you couldn't be at work, you couldn't do the thing. families having to multitask and have kids at home and caregiving, all of those are things that are impacting. Sometimes we may not even have recognized that we might have had predetermined, mental health issues. But all of this started to come out into the light in the last couple of years. And of course, mental health has always been, or mental illness, a very stigmatized topic in all communities, in all sectors. But I think what the absolute one important aspect, or the silver lining that has come out of the pandemic, is the conversations, as you say, that have begun about talking about mental well-being and mental health. So I think, when governments are paying much more attention to it, employers, individuals, communities, we're all taking charge of that. We're having conversations. I still believe that it's still very much a stigmatized area. There's a lot of work that has to be done in it. Working in, with the ethnocultural communities, those are within the ethnocultural communities, very much mental health and mental well-being and mental illness are very stigmatized still, and there is a lot of work to do in those communities. But overall, there is, I think, a real shift in the openness that we now talk, and we're not scared to talk about it. We're not scared to say, you know what, I'm feeling some anxiety today, or I've been really sad and depressed, or boy, did I feel isolated for those 2 weeks when I had to self-isolate. Boy, did that have an impact on me. Mm-hmm. So it's things that we may have taken for granted even are now the awareness that's going on around it. And we are providing education, and we are all doing things like advocacy. Certainly mood disorders, part of our mandate is to provide that advocacy and education and information to our communities. So, so that's why it's important. But it shouldn't be just a week-long event. It should be a daily event to take care of yourself.
That is something that I'm learning, having conversations with people who have, mental health challenges, and they go through these hurdles either daily or, sometimes it slows down for a little bit and you don't notice it for a while, but then it has a flare.
And it's okay. And it's okay to accept yourself for you. It's okay to feel down. It's okay it's okay to ask for help.
Yeah.
Those are the things that I've learned in the last couple of years. And also, recognizing that somebody might be struggling, but they might be afraid to ask, but not be scared to offer them something. You have to be sensitive about it, obviously, but don't be afraid to offer some help to somebody who might need it.
You don't have to be like, oh, I see you're struggling with this. You don't have to be direct about it. You can
there's ways to integrate. This year's theme, for example, Mental Health Week, is called "Get Real About How to Help," and you can learn how to help. You can take organizations like ours do help people provide information of how you can connect with somebody, how somebody might be struggling with thoughts of suicide, how you can intervene and help that individual get out of that immediate danger that they might be in, and help them put a plan together on a road to recovery. You can help them, direct them with other professional services, like a hospital or a clinic or some other organization that might be better suited for what their need is at the time.
Yeah, I've definitely, within my own circles, seen the shift in rhetoric and conversations around mental health and mental illness, that it's something that you deal with, but it's not something that defines you. It's not who you are. How would you like to see the conversation around mental health and mental illness continue to evolve?
We need to continue talking. I think we need to destigmatize the topic and not be afraid to talk about it. I also think there needs to be more investments, both financial and human, in this area. It is a very challenging area to work in because somebody might be having their own issues, but also trying to be helpful working in the sector. So I think governments and decision makers and private sector as well, community all over, should be investing in ways, and not just sometimes money, but other supports as well. The need to have dialogue, the need to have collaborative events, the need to I think sometimes people become too territorial, especially when it impacts the funding of an organization. I truly believe in sisterhood and working together with the sister organizations to do what you do best, and work together, referral system to each other. So that's very much my MO in terms of providing leadership in any organization that I've worked with.
What are some of the main concerns facing mental health and mental illness here today in Manitoba and Canada?
Very good question. Certainly, I don't have all of the statistics in front of me, but anecdotally, we do know that probably 1 in 5 Canadians do suffer from some form of mental illness or mental health issue. So I think recognizing that not something that is so isolated is important. I think the fact that we've, like the overused word about pivoted to online presence has definitely opened some doors, but I'm not sure that we've invested enough in the infrastructure, especially in rural communities in rural Manitoba, where people are also struggling, but they don't necessarily have access to technology because of the infrastructure. So I think there needs to be investments in those. I think we need to be having more collaborative discussions on issues, and just more general information publication, and of course research. We are going to really start to feel the impact of mental health, not just today and tomorrow, but 5 years from now, 10 years from now. Look at the children that were born during COVID, babies. I know I have 2 granddaughters that were born during COVID, and the way that traditionally how babies are, first bond and family supports and things, they missed out on those because families couldn't get together. Mm-hmm. Now, what's the impact of that going to be when they get to school age, or the relationships that they build? I'll take my own example. I didn't see my grandchildren, the COVID babies, for 6-7 months after they were born, and they only saw me through a screen. And so they got to know me through. So when I first saw them in person, it was strange for them because they only saw me, and they would try to touch me through the screen or give me hugs and kisses through the screen or on phone. So those are all things that we haven't sort of seen the impact of that kind of interaction, and the impact of technology, both good and the challenges that were associated with it. For a number of years. So I think those are some of the areas that we're going to have to invest in. Research is going to be an important part. The long-term impacts of some of the medications that people are doing. Addictions was another area that people haven't paid a lot of attention to. The addictions and substance abuse overall increased during COVID.
So easy to slip. So easy to slip down that path.
You're by yourself. Whatever the reasons, I'm not justifying or making judgments on any of the whatever the reasons, but it certainly climbed up. What supports do we have in place to help support those dealing with addictions and co-occurring mental illnesses? Things like spousal abuse, domestic violence were all impacted during COVID. So they were increasing. What kind of supports do we have in place? So those are, and also, in general, homelessness and providing food security and loss of jobs, the impact that had on people. These are very serious issues. Some of those basic things have to still be looked at. And we can't just move from this normal that we had for 2 years into a new normal all of a sudden and hope things will go back to being normalized. We will all have to adjust and adapt and not be afraid of asking for help.
Talking about addictions, it's been so hard for me to fight off my soda, my love for soda. Oh, first first I was I feel I was addicted to energy drinks. I couldn't go through a day without having one. Finally, I've been able to get off of there, but now it's soda's the thing I'm trying to kick
Yeah,
as well.
we don't just, when we think of addictions, we don't just need to think about substance abuse and drugs and alcohol. There's other things that people, or the traditional addictions that we talk about, gambling and online stuff, things like that. But there were things like you just mentioned, addictions to different foods, people's body images, their images themselves. Disordered eating has been a big factor, and that's something that we're working with a lot these days, is disordered eating and body image, and in particular with youth. We're doing a lot of work with the schools, certainly here in Winnipeg, but now also in rural Manitoba, where there's a lot of requests for us doing work with kids who are dealing with their own issues because of the impact of, but body image is a big one. They're spending so much more time on the screen following celebrities and thinking that's what the world is really like.
Because growing up, yeah, there were no conversations really about mental health, or if you were struggling with something, you would be bullied or made fun of. So, you internalize that, and then you lash out at people. I know I had a lot of internalized anger growing up.
Exactly. And you brought up a couple of really good points. Some of the things that the kids are right now dealing with, of course, are depression, anxiety, isolation, and many of these are related to working with the schools. The impact of the schools being able to having to work from home, etc. But they also talk about bullying and transgender issues and violence in the home. So there's so many co-occurring things that are impacting their lives. So to have a safe space that they can come and share their concerns and get some support, and in some cases, what we were able to do is we were able to put them in the right direction, connect them with other professional resources that they might have needed. We've certainly worked with kids that were not borderline, they were actually autistic. So we made a special accommodation to work with, have a child in the camp and they just loved it. That the parents couldn't say that they've never ever been able to send their child to a camp, and by having this, and it was just a wonderful experience for all of the kids in the program. We've dealt with the kids coming through and building enough rapport and trust with us to be able to share abuse situations that might have occurred or might be occurring. So that's led to some, obviously, some safety interventions and other interventions that are necessary to protect the children. So it's a great program. So that's one that we're very proud of. Of course, we have our very one of our most important programs is the Women's Mental Health Program, which is supported by Shoppers Love You program, and the Run for Women is coming up in June. So please go to runforwomen.ca and register and sign. And all of the funds raised for the run in Manitoba go to support women's mental health at mood disorders. Shoppers does this with 18 communities across the country, and in Manitoba we're the organization of choice for them. We've just launched an incredible men's program. We're working with gyms to help men who might be struggling with mental health to access our services and vice versa, because as you know, movement and physical well-being is equally important, and the two go hand in hand with mental illness. So that's one aspect. And then within that program, we also have a woodworking group. Men will often not seek out direct support. However, when they're engaged in, and we know this anecdotally, engaged in an activity that they can talk to their peers or talk to somebody else, it comes out and they're able to get that support. So there's a woodworking group that we have. Well, they'll be creating different projects, a doghouse, a squirrel table, a storage bin. and which we can use to donate back to the community or use them as fundraisers. So again, we haven't figured that part, but we're partnering with North Forge to get that program
Oh, very
started.
cool. Very cool.
It's very exciting. And then, of course, we have our staff across the province in all the regions of Manitoba. So each region has their own specific needs, and so they do a program for their particular program. As an example, Westman does a lot of. They do this men's activity group as one. They do a program called Soul Sisters. They do Cut the Clutter, and just a whole host of other programs. So each section, each area looks at the need of the organization of the community and offers. We have a representative at Selkirk Hospital right now that provides once a week. Somebody is there, so somebody might be getting discharged, or somebody just needs to go in and talk to somebody. We have somebody there as well. So some good things happening and new things. We're relaunching our in-person. In fact, last night we had our open house for the summer. What are the programs that we're offering in person, in addition to our online offerings as well? And then in September, we'll do an official launch of all of our programs and a formal launch of our new website. So do watch for our website.
I guess just kind of wrap things up a little bit, if I'm struggling with mental health or I know someone who's struggling, what steps should I be taking or what actions can I take?
Well, first of all, a great question. For yourself, do not be afraid to ask for help. No one's going to make judgment on you. There are some great organizations out there, Mood Disorders Association included, that have the resources, the professionally trained staff to be able to support you. So walk in if you need to, phone, check the website, ask someone if they know. So do not be afraid to ask. And about helping somebody else, again, don't be afraid to offer them support. That's a little bit trickier because you know that somebody might get offended. But you have to, again, do it in a caring, compassionate way. You might have to use some phrases and say, you know what, I'm not trying to tell you what to do, but I've noticed, you've been a little bit not yourself lately. Is there something I can do to help? Is there something you need? And if the person says, no, I don't want to know, that's fine. You need to respect their privacy and their, but keep an eye on them. Just make sure. Sometimes people just are at that stage where they just might be thinking about something that we don't want them to walk down that path. All of our staff are trained in suicide intervention, and we've certainly had a need to help intervene when somebody might be thinking about that. And I'm happy to say that we've helped save some lives. But at that stage, you want to make sure that the individual gets additional clinical and other supports that are needed to get them to a journey of wellness. At the end of the day, each of us, if you look at a scale, there's illness and there's wellness, and at no point are you completely ill or you're completely well. We all keep going on the scale back and forth. And one day we might be closer to the illness, and one day we're much more closer to the wellness. The idea is to try and keep a balance. Mm-hmm. And so nobody knows you better than you know yourself. So you have to be able to look inside and say, you know what, I need some help today. And it's okay not to be always. You don't have to be on a high all the time to feel good about it. It's okay to stay in bed for a day because you just can't do that. I've done it, and I don't apologize for it anymore. You can't be a superwoman. You can't be a superman and constantly try to do everything. It's okay. Your body tells you what you need. Your mind tells you what you need. So ask for help. So that would be my advice.
Yeah, if you kept going, then eventually you're going to
Crash.
crash. Yeah, and
Yeah.
that's no good. Where can people go to find out more information about the Mood Disorders Association of Manitoba? And are there ways that people can support the association?
You can go onto our website, just Google us on Mood Disorder Association of Manitoba .ca, and it'll take you there. And so there are a lot of resources that are available. But our new website is going to have a lot more information. And in terms of resource and the way it's going to be built, the way it's being built is that it hopefully will be a one-stop shop, but it also direct you into areas that if you need additional support. We provide one-on-one peer. If you're having a difficult time and during the day, you can call us. Our phone lines are open Monday to Friday, 9 a.m. No, Monday to Sunday, 7 days a week, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. We have staff and volunteers. A big part of our model is working with volunteers. So we have some incredibly great volunteers who answer our phones, provide one-on-one support that help facilitate the peer support groups with our staff online as well as in person. And how can you support us? You can support us by certainly engaging in our programs, registering for them, sharing that information with others. We always, of course, are looking for financial support. With the pandemic, a lot of our fundraising has been curtailed, especially our third-party fundraising. So we're always very appreciative to all Manitobans and our community for the financial support that we get from individuals, from organizations, from government, from places like United Way and Winnipeg Foundation are big supporters, but we also have corporate spots.
Mhm.
But it's the person who makes the difference by giving $5 or $10 or just providing some in-kind support. Those are equally important. So we ask for that, and we are grateful and thank you for that support. And then, of course, getting the word out, like what you're doing today,
Yeah.
having these opportunities to engage with the community. So we look forward to those.
Enjoying the content from U Multicultural? Subscribe so you can stay up to date with everything that we're doing. I'm Ryan Funk. This was U Talk, and have yourself a good one.